Okay. And so, what if I told you that love doesn't care if you're worthy or not? All right, so here we are. Welcome, Arav. Thank you for joining me on this call. And I was just curious, what did you want to talk about today?
Well, the biggest trouble I've had, or the reason I even came to begin with, is dating. It's relationships. It's romantic relationships, and in general, dealing with other people. I have a lot of anxiety around that, just being around other people, and then actual intimacy and relationships of that kind have been pretty much impossible for me my whole life. I've just not been able to make it work. And it's something that I need help with. It's something that's not fixing itself, and it's something that I can't fix myself. I've tried and done different things, but I need your help.
Okay. And so, what gets in the way? Like, what is the typical thing that comes up either internally or externally that keeps making relationship not happen for you?
Well, there's a lot of anxiety around them. So I've kind of found in relationships that work, ones are more like friendship, and then in my case, it's with men where it's lovely and we have a good time, and I'm very funny and I'm witty because there's no stress. It's just like this is great, but I never feel like I can get very far with that because because I'm not romantically attracted to them, or maybe some, but not enough. Somehow there's something missing. It's very cuddly and fun. When I try to date women, I get really stressed out, like, and I can't be funny and I can't do anything, and I just freeze up. So that's even just the initial part, um, and then when I mean, until recently, I could never even get past the 3 month mark with anybody. And when I the first time I did, it brought up so much fear and I don't know discomfort. It's a lot of discomfort, but more than that, it's like I can't feel anything. It's this weird
Hmm.
block um, that I haven't been able to get past. A lot of judgment, sort of judgment, not in a negative way, in like, why am I not feeling anything, right? So it's like the anxiety shuts down the feelings, and then um, it all kind of precipitates itself to where I withdraw, and I don't communicate, and then I'm not there, and then either the person goes away. It's like, well, you don't seem to like me, or I can't stand it anymore because it's so difficult to be in that place, and I can't untangle it. That's the thing. I can't untangle the. Is it the right person? Am I trying to date the wrong person? But then I have a whole slew of wrong people. I've never found anybody that's the right, and even the right one should be the right one. I still can't do it because I can't sort myself out to
Right.
just be present and be okay with human beings as they are. It's just so many threads. I don't even know where to start.
Right. Okay. Well, you've identified anxiety
Mhm.
already as being a key driver of all this, and is there a story with that anxiety? Is there something that you are specifically afraid of as you get into these relationships or these potential relationships?
Well, I can say things that I'm not afraid of. It's
Okay.
not fear of rejection. I'm used to that. Everybody's done that, whatever it is, that's normal. It was like almost worse when the person really liked me.
Hmm.
Um, and she did, and she accepted me. It brought up fear of her seeing me. I know that I have a lot of issues around visibility, about being accepted for who I am. That's a big one. Definitely, I feel like if I actually say what I think, she'll run screaming. It's just there's no way anybody can handle the not even good and bad part. I have a lot of good things to offer. I know that. I know I'm a good person, but there's something. It's not up here. It's just like if I say how I feel, and also, sorry, and also, I'm afraid of not feeling the right things. So if they'll say, "Oh, I love you," and like, I don't know, you know. Well, what do you feel? A deer in the headlights. There's a lot of deer in the
Hmm.
headlights. I don't know how I feel. I don't know what I think. I'm scared to even think what I think, and all of that just shuts everything
Right.
down.
Okay. Well, there's a couple things that jump out at me out of all of that, and one is that uh, you seem to bump up against a wall, basically at around the point where you start in a relationship where you might actually start to feel loved by a person, where you might actually have deep intimacy and connection. And as soon as that starts to actually happen, that's when all of the red flags and alarm bells and everything and anxiety and everything is just kind of blaring really, really loudly right then, because that's actually a very vulnerable moment. It's very vulnerable to be intimately connected to somebody and to, uh, allow and to feel their love and to be changed by their love, whether or not you love them back in return. That's a very frightening moment for a lot of people, and uh, and so there's something that about that about that moment where the connection isn't so superficial, and now it's starting to get to something real, that something in you just kind of loses her shit. It's just like, what? This doesn't make any sense. This person likes me. I don't get that. Like, there's must be something wrong with them.
Right,
Clearly.
exactly, exactly. So I'm like, well, clearly it's the wrong person because, and there's a whole laundry list of why this isn't going to work, and this isn't, I
Right.
retreated into all sorts of. I was thinking, even when my daughter says she loves me, even that's hard. Isn't
Hmm.
that crazy though? I mean, that's my own kid. She's supposed to.
Right.
And even this, even that like rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't, that's really scary.
Yeah. And so, there's an association between being loved and being hurt,
Like
typically.
this, yeah. I
Right.
can't, even the friggin' cat, even the cat shows me love, and I'm like, there's no way.
Okay. Yeah. So this is hitting on really deep, painful stuff, which makes sense. That's why every time you get close, it blows up, like you blow up, because this is really painful stuff. And there's something there that just can't conceive of you being lovable.
I'm pretty hard on
People loving
myself,
you for
that's
who
for
you
sure.
are. Say again?
I'm pretty hard on my. I spend all my life telling myself how lousy I am at everything.
Right, right. And just so you know, that whole narrative that you've been, hearing inside your head for however many years, just lying to you. It's straight up not true. None of it. Not a word of it has ever been true. And so, yeah, and so then there's something deeper underneath that as well. Like, we're just going to take that story away,
Yeah.
okay? Because at least on some level, we can recognize that it's not true. It's certainly not serving you. It's not loving. It's not kind, and it's not helpful. And these are, that's the Buddhist trifecta before you say something. Is it is it kind? Is it true? And is it helpful?
Right.
And
I was thinking of that when you're saying something about somebody else. I never thought
right,
about that about yourself.
the same holds true for yourself as well. And so that's how you know that a narrative like that that's spinning around in your head is not to be listened to. You can't stop it from happening. That's just what our conditioning does. That's what the mind does. But you do ultimately have the choice between believing it and not believing it. It might take a little while to get to that place of choice, because as long as it's running in the head, it's running because part of us believes it.
Right.
Right. So it's not just a matter of like, poof, I believe something different now, but a lot of the reason why we believe these things is because the narrative has been so incessant in our brain, and it's being spoken with our own voice. In our own head we hear our own voice, and so then it sounds like we're telling it to ourselves, and it feels like it's true because we're telling it to ourselves.
Why why do we have it? Some people do more than others, right?
Yep. It's just everybody's in a different place in their journey. Everybody's had a different childhood. Everybody's had different past lives. Everybody, is in a different place as far as whether they're moving further into separation or coming out of separation. All of that is
Separation.
the consciousness of being separate from what we are, from source, divinity, love. That's what we are, but we feel separate from that. And so that's the journey of the soul, is to emerge from divinity, from wholeness, in separation, and then to experience what can be experienced when you have that perception of being separate from everything else. And then that
It's
just
a,
kind of goes deeper and deeper and deeper until we've all done some really crazy, horrible things to each other. And
mm,
then we realize, oh, well, that's not fun. Like, that doesn't feel good. That's not getting me, what I really need, which is love. The soul recognizes at some point that uh, going deeper into separation isn't going to give the ego what it wants. And so then it starts to come out of separation. But this is like a many, many lifetimes journey.
oh, I
And
see. That's
yeah,
the scale.
yes, 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 this is over tens of thousands of years.
Well, I'm kind of on the far end of that one. I got a long way to come back. I may not
Well,
make it this lifetime.
you'd be surprised. You're actually doing great. It's the people who are actually furthest along in their journey that feel like they're the most screwed up, because
Yeah.
we're the ones who are actually confronting these subconscious patterns and wounds and biases and things like that, and we're actually delving into it. And so then that brings awareness to it. We become aware of just how big the pile of shit really is that we that we live on. And but then everybody else is still kind of oblivious to the stinking amount of poo that they are living on and spewing out to the rest of the world. And so they think
Yeah.
their shit don't stink, and life
Mm.
is great, and they'll
It's
project
everybody else's
expect it.
fault.
Right, it's somebody else's fault, or whatever it is, and it can be even a very good, kind, person of integrity, but they're still not necessarily going to be delving into their deepest pain. They just have learned to be a good person, but didn't put much thought
Mm.
into it. Some people are just kind people, and they don't have to think about it to do that. Other people are kind of assholes, and they have to realize, oh my god, like, I'm not really treating people well, and that's causing negative consequences for me, so maybe I should be nicer. Everybody has a different pathway. A lot of people are people pleasers. That means that they're
Mm.
fixated on being kind to people because of their internal drama. It's like it's not actually coming from the wellspring of love that is
Mhm.
boundless. It's coming out of a place of trying to manage other people's feelings, beliefs, perceptions, and so forth.